Hey, it's on. It's on. It's working. Okay, hi. I am streaming from our new setup. I'll get to that in a minute. In the meantime, here is today's page. Today's page came from a suggestion by, I'm looking it up, Henry C. And it's the wrong replacement crew shows up at the job. So this is a fun one. So I drew this morning in pencil, and so I didn't have an opportunity to do one on Friday or this weekend. So this one I drew in pencil this morning and colored it digitally and did the text digitally. So there we go. Okay. So yeah, this one's fun. It's a lot. You get a lot of changes between the pencil work and the digital work. So, good. All right. I'm gonna take people through. Pardon me. I got a frog in my throat. So tomorrow, I'm going to do a tour of the new setup in the studio here, but not till tomorrow. Just there's lots of exciting developments and changes in this space, and I feel like it's the best space I've ever had to work in. So at this point, anyways, hi Linda, welcome aboard. Hi Tim. But yeah, I'll show you that tomorrow, and that way I can do the last little bit of tidying up. And I have an office partner now. Lori has moved down to the studio with me. We've moved her office down to the other half of the studio, and we moved out all of the bookshelves and set up a library in our house. and so yeah, so now we're sharing our workspace together, which is a big workspace. Like no doubt about it. The room's 22 feet long, so Lori's taken up like 20 of it. No, she's not. But we've cut it in half, and what's really funny is that if you look at the space, it ties together. But Lori's office is clearly Lori's office. Her side of the room is nice and tidy and very, very lovely. And then my side of the room is how much stuff can I fit into one space and do so in some kind of organized way. I mean, I've been teasing the whole I'll be doing the studio tour thing tomorrow. Part of me is just I could just do it today, but build up the anticipation. But let's see, the room is, my side of the space is 11 feet by 16, and Lori's is the same. But yeah, it's really come together how it's all worked out, and I've got it finally refined down to the point where I'm like, yeah, everything makes sense for the first time ever. So yeah, we're gonna do some different things. Like I have a different setup. This is the setup of the camera at the desk, and which I've been doing up until now. But I've also got an upright camera that faces the painting wall over there, like the wall mount easel that I have. So and everything's accessible. All of the art supplies and all of the papers and all of the things are all visually out front and accessible. But it's and it's even pretty. But we'll get to it tomorrow. Linda says, "Cool division of space." Yeah, even Steven, evensies. So so yesterday's page I drew in pencil, and I'll show you a couple things as well. So this is the page that I drew it in with an orange color erase mechanical pencil from the ones that I purchased back some time ago. I'm still enjoying using those, and I've got extra replacement leads so that they're still going strong. So I drew this morning. I got up at 6 and came downstairs. I just go to sleep, so I went right to the studio and just my body just says, "Hey, we're up at 6 now. This is a new thing." So I got this done and colored and lettered and everything else, and then went out and did some errands and stuff like that. But I got something else that's fun to show you. Well, I think it's fun, and I hope that people find it fun as well. One of the things about organizing the studio is that I'm trying to come up with all kinds of different things, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit to, hold on, here we go, it's going to happen. My thing is being disagreeable and doesn't want to, there we go, do what you're told. Okay, so I've got a few different things, and I'm going to get my head out of the way to show you these because these are really fun. If I click the right button. Hey Marsh, how you doing? I still haven't clicked it. There we go. So, in addition to the studio tour, tomorrow I'll show you some of the stuff. I've been building things in the space, and then I'm going to be adding more and more things as I go. But one of the things I started figuring out was some of the stuff that I find to be, that I wanted to have in the studio, that I find to be necessary, but I haven't had the opportunity to have those things or to purchase those things. So I'm making a wooden press for printmaking. So how you doing, Celty? Welcome aboard. I've got a wooden press for printmaking, and it involves 4 nut systems with or 4 bolt system with butterfly nuts on it, and 2 planks of wood, some pieces of felt, and so as I put the inked up plate on the bottom board, and then I lay the sheet of paper over top, and then I come down with a piece of wood and I tighten up the 4 butterfly nuts and, you know, indent, do an impression print on that little indentation into the paper with the this system. So I'm really excited to finish building this and to put it into effect in the studio here. And then I'm building a larger brush holder that I'm going to wall mount, because I've got so many brushes kicking around in a couple of different, like in 2 different containers in the studio. And then there's the ones that are directly in the area where I do painting from. So I've put together, hold on a sec, this plan for building more brushes, more brush container, more brush holders. And so there'll be 3-tier so that I can do larger and larger brushes as I go along. And then this is a note for myself. I needed to upgrade my paper storage, and I'll show you this tomorrow. I actually already done this. What I did was I emptied out, I had all my DVDs and things in this room, and so we cleared that out and moved it onto a different shelf and put more shelving in. So now I have this level of paper storage built right into the wall here in the studio space. So now I can see all the paper stuffs that I have to work on immediately. And then all the very much smaller stuff I have in another unit that's beside my drawing desk that I can work on. So this one is done. Let's just X that off. Done. Finished. Gotta finish making that. Now this note is for when you've got a roll of paper towel in your studio space, you got a roll of paper, and what I mean by that is something like this. Like this is a roll of, you can buy this at paint supply stores, like where, you know, you can go get latex paint or whatever else for your household, and they'll have these rolls of paper like this for about $8. That's a lot of paper, but I need a roller hanger to put that on in the studio space, and then another one for a paper towel, and another one for another kind of paper that I have. But the whole point of this I was going to do it as a box, and I realized, no, I just mount it under the counters in the studio space. So I'm going to be hanging those things later on. So Marsh says, I'd love to have some better containers for art supply storage. See, that's a big challenge, right? I'll show you something that I do in a second. And you know what? I feel like I'm just going to end up doing a studio tour today. I think I'm just going to end up doing the studio tour today. So let's just go through these things first, and I'll show you some things I've come up with. The other thing that I'm trying to figure out how to make is, see, I was going to make this pen holder unit with this crossover lattice work on the front and then the back of it for pens to sit in. And I realized, no, that's not effective enough. That's too space consumptive as opposed to this solution that I've come up with myself. So, and then the last thing I'm going to be making is a paper drawing rack. And I had one some years ago, but it was really large, ungainly, and rusty. So I got rid of it. And so now I've got what I've got in the space, which is shelves. So that's not going to do it for when I'm working, quick and dirty doing jelly printing, stuff like that. So, all right, I'll show you. I'm just going to do a quick walk around the space now. So I'm sorry if the camera is a little bit shaky, but okay. So when you come into the space, that side of the room over there is my roommate's side of the office, and she's busy doing busy stuff. So here's where the desk is now, and it's this shelf here is 8 feet long, so that sort of gives you a sense of the room. And this is the first place that I have paper storage, and that roll will be disappearing, and a couple more rolls that I have soon. But there's a light table, things like that there. And then in the center of the space, this is the pillow I have behind my back. So there's the digital area in the corner. Big TV for watching TVs, shows while I'm working. Still got books in here. Can't get rid of all of them. Excuse me. So, and then here's the printing stuff and the scanning stuff underneath. And then we get into the painting area that's in the corner. And so there's a stand with a light on it that I can mount the camera on. So I'm going to be doing some time-lapse stuff. But this is a good size space. I think this is 6 by 6 is what I finally realized. The size of it. It's got a ledge there. I've got over here a number of canvases that I'm going to be working on, and that'll be in that space. So the other half of this spot is that in the center island, I've got this working surface right here. So this is brushes and cloths and some different mediums and stuff like that. And then when you turn around, there's more here again for where I'm facing the easel, and I've got space to stand. Lots of dancing room in here. Again, the center island's built out of bookshelves. So the island here really works for me in that it provides me literally twice as much desk space as I've had. But Marsh, this is what I was going to show you about. There's surfaces to work on. This is my solution for storing art supplies. And what it is that we went to a pen supply store in a small town near here. And the store had this display where it had all these mounted drawers full of pens for you to purchase from. As soon as I saw that, Lori saw my head pretty much explode. And I figured out on the spot, how can I implement that in the studio? And so these I picked up at a dollar store. And every one of them holds a different mark making tool. And then there's smaller things for smaller tools up above as well. And more paint down at the bottom, right here at the paint section. So, and then I've got the rest of my stuff lined up on shelves as well, and additional storage in down below. So I'm really trying to figure out how to get a Statler and Waldorf in the corner. Things to be as efficient as possible. So the island is almost 5 feet by 3 feet. No, 2.5 feet. Almost 5 feet by 2.5 feet. And then there's bookshelves built in underneath. No, it is 3 feet. Yeah. And so I can pull up a chair to each side so that, I can sit here and Laura can sit here. We can do a crossword. This is where I keep Pinky in the brain so they stay out of trouble. People need to know that. And then this is what I was talking about with the paper storage, is that I put in a bunch more shelves. And I still got a couple of rows of DVDs. But so that I have everything tucked away where I can use it from, but where I can literally see it so that I can put it to work. So this is the studio space, having removed 4, 5, 6, 7 bookshelves. It's ridiculous, Lori. It's ridiculous. It's too many books. So yeah, so that's the quick tour of the space. Mark says it's really important to have ample dancing space in your art studio. Boy, do I agree. We got some room for boogieing. Again, it's a larger space, so this was the family room that we had, for when, for the kids were home. So it's like, it's a good size. So anyway, storage ideas like these different mechanisms are really helpful for figuring out being able to do the things that you want to do in your studio. I gotta fix this. This is not holding its form. There you go. That's making it worse. There we are. So, yeah. So there's a quick tour of the space. Now, it's a different setup in a lot of ways because I've usually been in the middle of a room, and now I'm, along the side of the room. But it gives me all this benefit about the center, with the center area, so that literally if people are over here, we're working on a project in the studio, like putting together one of the books or stuff like that, we can have people sitting in 4 different spots just on my side alone. So that's kind of nice. Linda agrees with Marsh. Nice studio space. How often does it turn so messy you have to spend a day to clean it? Happens to me far too often. And Linda says, great studio tour. Love the baskets. The baskets really do work. But label them. Label your baskets. I gotta put something in here because this thing is, I gotta tighten the bolt in it. Yeah, label your baskets for sure. There's so many things that, when you're setting up a space like this, that you want to just make sure that you've sort of crossed T's and dotted I's. So those things that may cause complications otherwise, like not having enough space for supplies or not having enough. So you got your supplies all out where you can see them, great, but now where do you work? Like those little things, that could be really challenging. So I don't tend to need a day to clean in the studio, just because I need things to have, I need to be able to see everything, but at the same time, I'm in such a routine at this point that I don't let things pile up. And it's largely because everything has its spot, I think, right now. But I recognize that I'm older, and I recognize that, having had a dedicated studio space for some time, since the kids were younger, I've always had a space to work in. But now to have the dedicated studio area where I can just, plug away whatever time I need and step away from it and then come back to it is really helpful, because a lot of times when you have to set up and take down, then it can easily become haphazard and messy. But if in my thinking, I break it down like like this. I'll show you on this paper. So if I've got this is the space, well, in my case, this is the space, but well, actually, it's this, isn't it? Because the hallway, the open space between our sides, Lori's office. Hello, Chris's studio. This is where all the paper storage is in here. So by having this area for paint, right? This area for projects, this area for drawing, this area for digital, those little sort of things in play, and then storage, paper storage 1, paper storage 2, and then this is all, this whole area is art supplies. This whole space through here. So by breaking it down that way for me, it's less about allowing the provision of it getting really messy. So I tend to, and then of course these things that I'm showing you about building are going to add to that, I think. Your studio tour of the bed. Hello, Linda. Oh, hi, Liz. Welcome aboard. Marsh, what music makes you get kicking up them heels? Liz asks, Marsh, what music do you like to get down and boogie to? And then Liz says hi to Salty as well. Yeah, so this is the trickiest thing I have to figure out how to make, because it's made out of wire, right? Or it's made out of metal. It's almost like if a person were to buy like 5 oven inserts, like metal shelves for an oven insert, and then make a frame for that, that would work as the sort of same idea. That's just my immediate thought, but I don't know. Lori's like, that's crazy, Christopher. You're not making that. So she didn't say that. All right, so here's our paper. This is 11 by 17. Boink. There we go. And so I've got the books, actually. So I stopped losing them. I actually have them right beside me now on the shelf system. So it's things are working. Okay. Let's go to all the outstanding suggestions. I've done one recently for everybody, I think, that's spoken or that's joined the chat today. But if anybody has suggestions, as always, feel free to put them in the chat, and then we'll get those going for a one-page story. But yeah, we're doing pretty good on getting caught up on so many things at this point. All right, so let's see what I got. I got Jaws in reverse. The beachgoers are sharks and the sharks are human. All right, that's from Jim L. So I'll type that into here. Watch this. This is cheeky. I'm gonna switch cameras. I'm over in the digital area now. Whee! Liz says, try reorganizing all your supplies in the color. Perhaps the rarely used supplies would happen more often. Yeah, that makes sense. Although I work from limited palettes, right? Like I don't have really exotic palettes for colors, so yeah. All right, I'm over here now. Anything with a snappy beat? Marsh says, I kind of like all kinds of music. My favorite's classic rock and hip hop. But those aren't always the danciest. All right, Jaws in reverse. Humans are sharks, and sharks are humans. Okay, and that's from Jim L. So there's today's page. Boink and boink. There we go. That sliding chair is silly. Okay, so what do we got? We got Jaws in reverse. We got I guess I gotta draw some sharks, so that's fine. Okay, you said it. Use not often. Don't often use. What? You said it. Use not often use colors. Oh yeah. Well, use whatever you have. Don't go running out and getting. If you've got. So here's the thing. If you've got X amount of materials and X amount of supplies and X amount of dollars, really explore those supplies. And if you like have specific colors that you use first, and you've used those up, then start drawing with the different combinations of colors, like the weird greens, and just because it'll really do is help you figure out your color palette. And the benefit of that is that it teaches you to make the most of things, so that when you start using combinations that you wouldn't normally have done, that can make somebody look at your piece and go, "These are really interesting choices. Why'd you make them?" And well, we know why you made them. It's because you only had brown and green, right? Only had brown, green, and yellow. So there I go. And just figure out those combinations of line that you can make with those, because there's so many things that you can do. Okay, so we've got, what's our suggestion today? Jaws, what is it? Sharks are humans and humans are sharks. All right. Okay, so let's start right off at the hop with, we'll start drawing our first shark. I think, what I'm going to use, this is my immediate little case that I have for just immediate drawing supplies without thinking. And I've got a range of things here. So here's a blue pen. Let's use this. All right, I'm going to get my big noggin out of the way so I can zoom in a little bit. Marsh has an ongoing fantasy where he doesn't buy any more art supplies until he's used up the ones he has. It never works. I found myself at Michael's just yesterday. All right, well, make a list for yourself of the things that you don't have. The arsenal that would equip you in your studio that you don't have. Like, if you're going to go to an art supply store, buy those random things. Like, especially, or rather than going to Michael's, go to the Dollarama. Go to a dollar store, something like that, and find little compartments, and a good batch, like a dozen of something for you to put your supplies in to see what that does for you. And then when you go to Michael's, you find a shelf unit that you can fit all those storage things on. Oh, there you go. You're rocking. You're rocking. As Neil Young would say, in the free world. Oh, goodness. I'm a lot out of the house sometimes. Am I zooming? I'm zooming in. I'm zooming in. And then I'm monkeying up my camera. Okay. There's another thing I keep right there handy. Watercolor and a couple of drawing pencils. I can reach everything now. It's nice. Okay. So let's start right into the first panel image here. Oh, you know what? This is just a regular old paper. Let's go to a cardstock. Cardstock's prettier. All right. Let's see what I got. I'm going to do this in portrait format, I think, just to shake it up. There we go. All right. So I'm going to draw. That's a weird fantasy, by the way, Marsh. That sounds like more like a plan than a fantasy. A fantasy is like, so I'm galloping on my unicorn, and I arrive outside of an art supply store. No, no, I will not go in there, I say to my unicorn. Nay, nay. Nay, nay. I gotta look. Okay. All right, so I think I'll start with the narrative voice. And so I keep a little bit of paper nearby, and the reason that I do that is so that as I'm because when I draw with a pen, I really have it on an angle. If this is the surface, I have it on an angle like this. So what happens is all the ink dollops on the top, because ink comes out uniformly out of the end of a ballpoint pen. It's a ball on the tip of it, and the ink comes out from all around it. So when you only use the ink on the one side, it gathers up on the other. Mark says it's not really a fantasy unless it's weird. Liz says, I've actually gotten through 2 books, The Cactus and Succulents, and the Australian National Geographic. It's a really good feeling. So I went and bought 10 small kids books. Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. I went to a conference recently, and I came back with 13 books. They just kept handing them out. Every time we went into this large group discussion area, this presentation, there's always a book on all the seats, and it's like, wow. I don't know this many words. Do I have to read all these? Literally, one of the young adults that was in our group said, I really don't like reading. Oh, like books? And she goes, at all. Oh, no. Pick up a book. Think of the future. That's awesome. It's nice when you complete reading a book. I've got a few different things that I'm going through right now. But I keep getting myself distracted and doing this. Her got me this challenging crossword book. So I've been going through that like a wood chipper. Yeah, Liz says, someone doesn't like books? I know. You got to check their forehead for a fever or something. Because, you know, I get it. Reading's not for everybody. But when you got young people saying that they'd rather just listen to an audio recording of the person reading the book, I'm like, that's no. Come on. As long as they're using, you know, their imagination and their mind, the challenge is when they don't read at all and they just rely on other technological means, then what happens when they don't have those technological means? Like, what happens when the power goes out, you know? I got this thing I like telling some of the younger kids that I work with. I like telling them, well, what happens when you become the prime minister? What are you going to think about this then? This is what I've started doing now in hopes for getting us good prime minister candidates in Canada. I'm going to start corrupting them now. Prime minister? I don't want to be that guy. Is that like the king? One kid asked me that. Oh, simple. I'm concerned. There's parts of me that's just concerned. So I'm drawing our shark character. So I want to take the cliches that I can think of as far as I can. So I think that the humans that are in the water, that are preying on the shark people that are on the shore, I think that the humans in the water need to be wearing, of course, Hawaiian shirts and the like. So just go as far as I can with it. Mark says, I finally saw Taxi Driver the other day for the first time. It's fun to discover classic ways. Classics way after the fact. Yeah, Taxi Driver is incredible. If hopefully you saw, I don't know if you saw the movie Joker or not, but if you just watched Taxi Driver the other day, yeah, Joker will be a different experience once you've watched that. You'll realize that, hey, I've seen this somewhere. Okay, 23. Now I've lost track. If you were not doing what you're doing now, what would you have pursued with just as much passion if you had the time and the resources? That's a good question, Liz. 23 questions with Liz. All right. I don't know. I didn't expect to be this old when I was a young man. I never thought that I'd be the age that I am now, and which I think has got to be about 100. But yeah, I never expected to be as old as I am, so I never really had any big scheme or plan in advance. And if I wasn't doing what I'm doing today, I'd be doing I don't know what, something creative. I hope maybe building building things. I saw Joker when it first came out. To be honest, I was more disturbed by that than Taxi Driver. Well, I could see that, but you could see how much that the one project owes the other. Now, you watch the Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy, and then you watch the Joker movie and realize, yep, I think I've seen this before. And other people would argue with me about it, but I I think it's pretty obvious. The guy himself has even said it. He called it an homage. There's shot for shots in those homages. Kind of doesn't make them homages. But Scorsese liked the Joker movie, so yeah, I really liked that movie. That movie was great. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, yeah. That's my Scorsese impression. Okay, so here's our first shark sitting on the beach. So I've got to have him contort his body a little bit here so he can sit down. So I'm going to try to make it so that he's got little shark kids bouncing a ball in their nose. That would be fun. It's got an excellent singing voice, this shark I just drew. Yeah, I'm pretty sure of it. My zoom go out. Yeah. So I'm drawing on a cardstock. The nice thing about drawing on cardstock is that there's just something about how it just holds the material, how it holds the pigment a little nicer, and from the ink from the pens and the like. So see, there's a dollop I missed. That's what I'm talking about, how it pulls up on the opposite side of the pen. I got Bad Company in my head right now. That's weird. Rock and Roll Fantasy. That song by Bad Company is in my head. I don't know if I heard that in the radio recently or something. Probably. Oh yeah, I did. Was that or that's the same? Because I was telling Lori that that's the singer in Bad Company that went on to do a whole bunch of other random things. Where are we at? Let's see, make sure I'm not missing stuff. I hope you had a great Father's Day. I hope you had some cake. I didn't have any cake. We had, it's kind of nice. I got Happy Father's Day wishes from 3 of the kids, but 2 of the boys came over and joined us. We had some dinner together, and we played some board games. It was really nice. It's one of those things where when you get that chance to get together with the kids as they're grown-ups, you really want to enjoy that. because they're off doing their own things. Sean's going to be, how old's Sean going to be? Sean will be 30. Oh, heavens. Whose idea was that? Nobody asked me about that. And then the youngest, how old's Chris? 22? Turning 23. Good Lord. How old are these kids, Lori? Whose idea was all this? Okay, so there's our first shark, and so there's our narrator. Thanks for asking, no less. I know there's a few songs I like by Bad Company, but I don't know how much else about that band. So the singer of that band, when Queen was going on one of its little, We Need More Money tours, they had him come and sing with them, and it was really cool. He's got a great voice. He doesn't have Freddie Mercury's voice. No one would, right? But he was a good singer. But then the next time they had some dude sing with him, he was such a weirdo. He's from some like American pop idol TV show is where he was discovered. It's like, oh, this is exactly the worst choice. He's on stage wearing a leather jacket with all these studs in it. It's like, dude, you're trying too hard. Just cut it out. All right, so I'm going to draw some more sharks in the background. I think playing, I don't know how sharks would play. I'm sort of playing off on the fact that they're doing human things as sharks, and the sharks are doing, or the humans are doing shark things. So I'm going to have them playing volleyball in the background, some of the younger sharks. I think he was also Free. He also started the band Free as well. This is not a very successful looking shark. No, it's a young shark. Hasn't grown his beard yet. It's a silly notion, really. You should have a shark explaining something to a human. Actually, we've been around for this long. Yeah, what is it? Sharks, they can trace sharks back to most before most dinosaur periods. I think it was. I read. That's crazy. So here's one of our younger sharks here. Dad, you want to play some beach ball? I don't know what he's saying. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll just have him giving the kids a lesson about the why be careful in the water with the humans. Liz says, what family show character did you like or relate to the humor of? I don't know. Probably the police officer next door. I always thought that guy was funny. Because he gets so frustrated. And I always liked Patrick Warburton, the voice actor of that character. I always like the way he structures sentences. So let's do another one. So I'll put one more of the little teen sharks down below here. I'm trying to make them not look as scary, the younger ones. What time are we at? We're doing pretty good. That's a good question. Does anybody have a family show character that they relate to? There's a TV show that Bill Burr wrote that was on Netflix. I got a kick out of. Because it really shows the insecurities of some of the parental characters in the 1970s. And I thought, wow, is that what was going on in parents' heads? In the 60s. It's the 60s or 70s, I think. Okay, so here's our two sharks, and then I'll have, let's put them at a beach. Trying to make sure I don't get ink all over the place here. But it's interesting because it's all about the anti-union push that was going on in the American government then, and this one show, and it started with the airline guys. Of course, the father in that show worked at the airline. I don't know. I haven't. Maybe the dog. Brian the dog. That's a funny character. What was yours, Liz? What's the one that you relate to? So I'm putting in a beach blanket. I'll put a cooler on here. And some shoes. No shoes. Let's do some buckets for making sandcastles. Alright, we'll put the beach in as well. It's all about color, I guess, something like this, because right now this could easily look like the water, right? Archie Bunker was hilarious. That humor is even funnier looking back today. I loved Archie Bunker growing up. It's a thing that seemed to sing the theme song all the time. But I thought Archie was brilliantly funny even as a kid. The funniest character construction about Archie Bunker is that whenever somebody came to the house to visit, or like somebody to study homework with Gloria, or one of the neighbors visiting, and so anytime anyone said, "Where's Archie?" and then you heard the toilet flush upstairs. Every time. On the Roy Rogers show, pretending to be Roy and ride in to save the day. Nice. And this is when I was about 7. Nice. Yeah, it's always exciting, the shows that we remember from our younger years. Archie Bunker was by a Canadian. It had this fantastic, assessment of the political divide that was developing and the generational divide that was developing in the United States, and it was written by a guy from Montreal. Okay, so I've got just going to turn this sideways. Oh, I made a mistake. That's all right. We deny the mistake. We embrace the opportunity. Okay, so here's our first panel coming together. What time are we at? Oh, we're almost at an hour already. Whew. We had about 10 more minutes. So I'm putting some clouds in the background. And then we'll put some more up above here. Maybe I'll have it start to rain. And we can have the shark say, "Oh, quick, kids, get to the car. I don't want to get wet." Which is funny and ironical. Just putting some clouds in. Dark, foreboding clouds. Is it raining men? Oh my goodness. Sometimes outsiders have a better perspective of things that they observe in other cultures, so that's for sure. Can you sing the whole national anthem? Do you know all the words? The Canadian one, yeah. I don't know the American one. Or any other country for that matter. Lori, do you know any other country's theme songs? Do you know anything like the national anthem from any other country than Canada? I want to learn the one for Puerto Vallarta. Come on down to Puerto Vallarta. What's the... Randy Newman wrote a city's theme song. So did Arlo Guthrie, but it was more like Arlo Guthrie wrote a song and then the city adopted it as their theme song. The City of New Orleans, right? That's Arlo Guthrie. I can't remember what the Randy Newman one was. But it's something like, Florida, we love it! It's so typically Randy Newman. That's my favorite TV songwriter, is Randy Newman. He did the theme song for Monk. I would watch the Gary Shandling show in the 1980s just for the theme song, and because I really didn't find Gary Shandling funny, and so I'd watch this just because the opening of it's Gary Newman going, "This is the theme to Gary show. It's the Gary Shandling show. Gary called me up one night and asked me to write his theme song." So this is the theme I wrote for the show. It's the Gary Shandling show. It's the Gary Shandling show, and that's how it started. Which might be like the goofiest theme song for a television show ever. That's a whole family of composers. Gary Newman's dad was a film composer back in the day, and now his brother and Gary both do scores for films. Of course, he did Monk, the TV show, but he also did Toy Story. Randy Newman did. What did I say, Gary? Yeah, Randy. And he's on the Family Guy. There's the character I associate most with in the Family Guy. It's Gary Newman. Or I did it again. It's Randy Newman. There's a lady coming through the house. She takes a long time. Look at Randy. That was the Apple song. Where are we at? Oh, 2:55. Get this panel at least finished up. So here's our sharks on the beach. His dad is telling the young sharks to be wary in the water. There's people in them. Their waters. That's what I should do. Is I should try to do a shark version of the guy from the film Jaws, where he says, "There's sharks in that water." That guy. Barney Miller had a hilarious scenes. All in the Family with Sammy Davis Jr. Oh yeah. There's so many good. Taxi as well, with Christopher Lloyd. When you found out what Christopher Lloyd was like before, you know, somebody got him to do some illicit badness at a party, he was like the most straight-laced, preppy, be good Nick. And somebody goes, just try it once. And he tried it once, and that's how you got Reverend Jim on Taxi. It's really funny. Look it up. Look up the Reverend Jim origin story from Taxi. It's really funny. Okay, so here's our sharks at the beach talking about the terrible danger presented by man. Humans need the sharp-dressed men like ZZ Top. No, I need to do that with sharks with the fins. Yeah. Anyways. All right. Well, there we go. We got the first panel done. I got to get a couple more things done, but I'll come back and get this done and post it for tomorrow. I know I said I'd do the studio tour tomorrow, but we ended up doing it today. So if you didn't catch it at the very start, feel free to go back and take a look. And yeah, if you've got exciting studio storage ideas that you want to share with people, feel free to put it in the comments and we'll pass that on to everybody. And ways to keep your studio working area tidy so that you don't, as Marsh say, you have to spend some time cleaning up every now and then when you want to get to work on things. If you've got solutions for that, feel free to put that in the comments as well. As well as if you've got a one-page story idea you want to suggest. All right, there's our first panel for the page of Sharks Are Humans and Humans Are Sharks, the new version of Jaws. Sorry, it's a little blurry. I don't know how to... That tightened it up a little bit. Yeah, I'll have to clean that up. Maybe my lens is dirty. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming and hanging out today. I got to get back to it. Thank you very much for everybody who took part in the chat. Thank you for all the suggestions and fun ideas. Thank you very much to Linda, the moderator with the mostest. I'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. EST. And I think tomorrow I'm going to do some painting. So if you're interested in some painting for doing a story with, come and join in. All right. Thanks very much, everybody. Bye for now.